Second round of the playoffs, just 1 day of rest between games for a team that could use more than 1 day of rest. The Warriors, they don't get a vote on the schedule, but they will have a say in where the series goes from here. Grand 4's Ben Ross breaks it down with Santa Cruz Warriors broadcaster Dr. Joaquin Wallace.
Dr. Joaquin Wallace, great to have you back with us here on Sports Night Live as we break down the Warriors and Timberwolves. And Joaquin, I think a lot of people maybe expected the Timberwolves to bounce back in Game 2. Maybe not quite the way they did, a 117-93 win for Minnesota. No Steph Curry, of course. What do you make of that game, and what can the Warriors, what types of positives, if any, can they take out of it?
Well, I think going into the game, Coach Kerr and his staff realized that Game 1 was important. They ambushed the Timberwolves Game 1, got that victory. The Timberwolves went off for 5 days, so they went in, handled business. So far, so good going into Game 2, and lo and behold, Steph Curry gets injured, a soft tissue injury. So then that kind of changes going into Game 2. Game 2, they played 14 players. I mean, that's never been done in a playoff series. So I'm sure that Coach Kerr and his staff was thinking about, listen, we got the first game. Let's look at some combinations for the second game, going into the third game, because that's the most important game. You know, the 73% of the teams that win Game 3, the swing game, wins the series. So looking at combination, seeing who stood out as well, played well. You look at overall in terms of Jonathan Kuminga played well. I'm sure we're going to talk about him later on. Trace Jackson-Davis did well also. So good signs for the Warriors. Although they lost the game, mission accomplished. They split the series coming home.
It did seem like Coach Kerr was sort of seeking guys out that could contribute and play well and looking for rotations. So you bring up Jonathan Kuminga, and I do want to ask you about him because it's a fascinating story, right? He's just been out of the rotation pretty much for a while now. And he starts 8 for 8 from the field in Game 2, ends up 8 for 11 with 18 points. Maybe he could provide them a spark moving forward. What do you think as far as his contribution to the rest of the series?
Well, having a chance to listen to his press conference, one thing that he said, he gained his confidence. Right. And that's what it's all about, confidence and rhythm. And I'm sure he showed Coach Kerr and his staff I could be a vital part in this series as well. His length, his athleticism, he's extremely athletic around the rim as well. He's one guy that can play above the rim that the Warriors do have. So look for him to get a lot of action. I don't know if he's going to start, but I'm thinking probably 25 to 30 minutes. And he's playing at home as well. He's going to come out with a lot of energy coming into this game, Game 3.
Trace Jackson-Davis you also brought up, and he's a guy who hasn't played a ton recently, but looked really good in his minutes in Game 2. 15 points, 6 rebounds. He was 6 for 6 from the floor. Do you think that he could play a factor in the next couple of games at home?
I think he will need to play a factor in this game alone. We talk about the Warriors. We talk about Batman is now no longer in the lineup right now. You have Robin, which is Jimmy. You have Alfred. You're going to need Chief O'Hara, Commissioner Gordon. You're going to need all of these guys to come up and play well this game tonight. All hands on deck for the Warriors on Saturday night. If they come out and play well with those other guys, look for them to get the victory.
Well, and, you know, normally when you go on the road for Games 1 and 2, you're just looking to get a split. Obviously, you would love to get them both, but the Warriors do get the split, so now they have home court advantage. Coming back to Chase Center for Games 3 and 4, what type of a difference can that make playing at home?
Well, we know that role players play better at home. So look for the Warriors to come out with a lot of energy. Remember, they ambushed them Game 1. Didn't play well Game 2. So Game 3, this is a very pivotal game. So again, as I mentioned earlier, 73% of the teams that win Game 3 win the series. And Coach Kerr knows that. Draymond Green knows that. Jimmy Butler knows that. So they're going to come out with a lot of energy. And Kuminga knows that as well, too. So a lot of energy that the Warriors are going to come out with. Use that crowd that's going to be off the charts, off the hook, as they say. If they can come out with a lot of energy, force their hand, and speaking of, the Timberwolves get live ball turnovers, they can come out and get this victory.
I thought it was interesting. Steve Kerr in his press conference tonight, or I guess his Zoom press conference, was discussing the Steph Curry injury, not the injury itself, but just how difficult it is. I mean, they have to change everything they're doing now, game plan-wise, right? I mean, they're a completely different team, obviously, without Steph Curry, and we've talked about some of the guys who need to step up. But how challenging is that when you've gotten used to playing in a certain way, a certain system, having your guy on the court, and now having to kind of go back to the drawing board.
Well, you have to think about Steph Curry. A lot of gravity surrounds him, right?
Right.
So you talk about Jimmy Butler mentioned that game one, although they got the victory, said it's hard to play without Steph, although they did get the victory. Well, game two, that was a reality check. Now we're looking at game three, probably game four. He may be able to come back game five. So the offense does change. We have to get out in transition. Live ball turnovers, make the simple pass, right? So you don't want to have a lot of turnovers. Possessions are important. I always say in basketball, the most important pass is the first pass, because if not, you're going to see the Timberwolves doing chin-ups at the rim, and that's something that we don't want to see coming into Chase Center. Hopefully the Warriors can come out and manage the basketball. If they do that, I do believe with the crowd, being at home game three, the experience with Coach Kerr and his staff, Draymond Green, you talk about Jimmy Butler as well, who's been in this situation before. It's going to be a close game. It will be a close game, but I think they can squeak it out.
Well, without Steph Curry, the margin for error certainly goes down, and you're right, they got to take care of the basketball. But again, you mentioned that experience, some of the other contributors being at home. Hopefully they can at least get one of the next two, and we'll see if Steph Curry can go for game 5, hopefully for game 6 at the worst. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting series to watch. Dr. Joaquin Wallace, broadcaster for the Santa Cruz Warriors, appreciate you coming on once again, my friend. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.